here today at the National Space Center celebrating the 50th anniversary of the very first Saturn V launch. That was Apollo 4 mission, 1967 on November 9th. The reason this was such an amazing launch, it was the first ever launch of a Saturn V. They tested all the stages at once, and they also tested the orbit and the heat shield of the command and service modules. It was a really risky move for NASA, but they had a deadline. They had to get men on the moon by 1969. It was a perfect flight, and it paved the way for the future manned flights that sent Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, Apollo 11 to the moon. What we're doing today is actually a VR experience, a virtual reality experience. So we've got a room where we've got a headset, and visitors can stand under a Saturn V rocket full scale and just get a sense of the enormity of how huge this rocket really was. The Saturn V rocket was absolutely enormous. At the time, it was the largest rocket ever launched, and even today it is still the largest, most powerful rocket that has ever been launched. And the reason it had to be so huge is because we were sending astronauts further than ever before, and rockets, the bigger they are, the further you can go with the fuel. Now the Saturn V rocket was 110 meters high, so it was actually, this is a model of it, 100 times smaller than the real thing, if you can imagine that. And we actually like to tell people with our rocket tower it was 2.5 times higher than the rocket tower itself, so visible anywhere in Leicester. But I think what the VR does is it allows you to actually get a sense of the real thing, as you would very few other places in the world. So there's only a handful of other Saturn V rockets on display. They're all in the US. What we can do with VR is actually allow people to get a sense of the real thing, walk under it, have a look at just how huge it was.